you attending today.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dorothy Corbett. I am one of the senior counselors at EOP at Stony Brook, and I'm excited to be here tonight.
So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Tonight's mission is to just inform you a little bit about Stony Brook University and the EOP program that we have here at the university. We do have a mixture of students, parents, and counselors with us tonight. So thank you all so much for taking the time out of your night to join us. Just a few housekeeping rules before we go ahead and get started. The chat is disabled, but I will be posting some information in there. One of which is our email address, should you have any questions that you prefer to ask privately or that you think of at a later time. So you can always jot that down at any point. I'll post it right now and I'll post it towards the end as well. The other thing is how to talk to our students. So if you're interested in getting a student's perspective, we do have a chat with the current Seawolf, which is ongoing through probably the middle of December. They have dates. So if you're interested after tonight in learning a little bit more and gaining a student's perspective, which is always wonderful, you can absolutely sign up for one of those Chat with the Seawolf events. But we'll go ahead and get started because the chat is disabled, but Q&A is ready for your questions. So if you do have questions throughout the event, I already see one in there actually, you can absolutely post those questions and get them answered by my colleague Kelly or any of us really throughout the presentation. We'll go into a quick presentation. We will have live Q&A at the end. So feel free to just continuously post your questions should it not be covered in tonight's session. All right, let's go ahead. So EOP at SBU. Now, Stony Brook University is located on the North Shore of Long Island. We are one of the 4 university centers within SUNY. Now, SUNY is the State University of New York. We're one of 64 different campuses throughout the state. But being that we are a university center within the system, we're just a bit larger. We offer master's and doctorate programs. We offer Division I sports if you're interested in athletics. And we have around 18,000 undergraduate students at the moment. So we have actually one of the largest classes in the entire university's history. Now, out of the 18,000, you can see we're just about 700 total EOP students. So it's a phenomenal program to make a large university seem like a nice small family. Last year, we took in 147 first-time students, as well as an additional 10 EOP transfers from other SUNY, CUNY, or private institutions throughout the state of New York. So you can see we do bring in a small transfer class as well. But the goal really is to get onto Stony Brook's campus. Now, Stony Brook is located on the North Shore. We're about a 90-minute train ride from Penn Station. We're exactly halfway out on Long Island. So there's actually 60 miles east of us, which is out to the end of Long Island or Orient Point. And there's 60 miles west of us heading to New York City. So right smack in the middle of Long Island, but all the way up on the North Shore. You can get to our institution by train. You can also drive there. It's really accessible for that reason. But the campus itself that you're looking at there is an aerial shot of half of our campus. It's got everything you think of when you think of a college campus, and that there's 8 different residential life communities, lots of different classroom buildings, multiple performing arts spaces, art galleries, libraries, a few different sports and athletic facilities, much like Lavelle Stadium that you're seeing there. So a very traditional college campus. It's also really beautiful. It's a really nice place to walk around, especially right now with the trees changing color. We just had Light the Brook, where they put all those cute little twinkle lights all over our main academic mall, and everyone gets to take pictures and drink hot cocoa. So it's a really cool place to come and take classes. We also have right across the street Stony Brook University Hospital. So if there's anyone interested in more of the pre-health or nursing medical field, we do have a medical school and a dental medical school. But Stony Brook University Hospital is a wonderful resource because it incorporates our health science center. So it's a teaching hospital, of course, but it's also a level 1 trauma center and the largest hospital and hospital system on Long Island. We do have a campus down in Southampton as well. It's not a traditional campus in that many of our students might not take classes there, but it does incorporate our Marine Research Center, which is there for our marine biology students, marine vertebrate biology, and a few other environmental areas. Now, two things you're not seeing here right now is right off campus, we have our research and development park, which is utilized for not only research, but also internships and observation opportunities, as well as the Brookhaven National Laboratory, which is a federally funded science facility. So if you haven't already guessed, you can start to see that we are a research institution, and you'll see that exemplified throughout the offerings at Stony Brook. Now, getting around campus is just as accessible as getting to campus. Now, I did mention that you can get there by train. The wonderful aspect of Stony Brook is that you can take the train from the city or anywhere on Long Island directly to campus. The Stony Brook station is located right behind our football field on campus, so it makes getting to and from the city incredibly easy. Now, once you get to campus, or whether you park there and drive or take public transportation in another form, you can hop on any of our campus buses to get wherever you need to go on campus. There's multiple bus lines. We have a real-time app, just like MTA, where you can see where your bus is at and how long it takes to get to you. But it's just a great, quick way to get around campus, especially if it's raining or snowing, or you're just having one of those lazy days. You can walk it. Like I said, it's a beautiful campus. You can usually walk to anywhere you need to go, especially from, on a day-to-day schedule. But you can also rent one of our Wolfie bikes. And this is a free bike share system, much like City Bike in the city, except it's free for students for their first hour, which is just a nice resource. But if you are living on campus, you can also bring your own bike. You can bring your own skateboard, own scooter, whatever you like and prefer to get around. Just to go into some details about a little bit of a briefing of what's happening right now, we are fully test optional for the fall of 2022. So if you're a senior, or if you are a parent of a senior, or a counselor of seniors, just know that we are fully test optional, in that it is all, the power is in the students' hands on whether or not they submit test scores. That doesn't mean that there's any priority given to students who submit them, and there's no negative impact to students who don't. For any juniors or below that, we're just not quite sure if we're going to remain test optional in the future. SUNY is doing a big study this year to determine that. We'll probably have more information about that come next summer. So if you are a junior or parent or counselor of juniors, just check back with us next summer before you start the real application process next year. For fall of 2021, it was back to kind of on-campus living, on-campus courses. In fact, about 85% of our courses are being held in person. We do have a small number of virtual classes or hybrid classes, kind of a mixture, but we are a pretty traditional campus in that most of our classes are held in person. So we did get back to that, and we're almost at full capacity in our dorms as well. We're hoping by next year that we are back to that kind of full capacity. An important thing to note that I discovered this year is that SUNY did a pre-med program for EOP students, and 5 out of the, I think it was 24 students who were admitted were actually from Stony Brook University that were part of this SUNY pre-med opportunity program. So kudos to our EOP and AIM students who were a part of it. Another important thing, especially for EOP, is just knowing that we are #1 in social mobility in the United States, reducing inequalities and raising students up from a lower socioeconomic class to a higher socioeconomic class. So at least about 2 levels up. So we're getting to wherever you need to go, whether it be in your career down the line, and really enhancing your experience to the point where it is catapulting you into your career. We do offer more than 200 different academic programs for students to choose from. So we are a big university in that way. We're not going to get into all the academics tonight. We have plenty of information sessions and information on our website to go into all those details, but just know that as an EOP student, you're open to any of these majors. There are certain processes for certain upper level programs or restricted programs, just like there are for non-EOP students or general admission students. The university itself is broken up into different colleges and schools. You don't need to know this terminology for the application purposes. You really just choose a major or select a major on your application. But it is broken down into these areas, which kind of incorporate a lot of different fields, most of which have just a few majors in them, with the College of Arts and Sciences housing most of our majors, minors, and combined degree programs throughout the system. I'll pass it over to my counterpoints in EOP to go over some of the perks about EOP.
Thanks, Christina. So Dorothy and I are going to take over a little bit of the next couple of slides, and Dorothy, feel free to chime in when need be. So just so you all know, Stony Brook and EOP at Stony Brook has been around for a really long time. We've been around since 1968. So we have really made our stake here at Stony Brook University. We're a very successful program at Stony Brook University. And EOP is our state name. When you hear the word AIM, which I know Christina has mentioned too, AIM is our local name here at Stony Brook University. So we go by the name EOP AIM. If you ever hear that, you'll know what that is now. Students who are EOP are part of Stony Brook University. They're just not EOP students. You are Stony Brook University students. So you come in through EOP. We offer you access into one of the best research universities in the world. And it gives you a very small college feel in this very large university. So between undergrad and grad, we're over 25,000 students. But because EOP is under 700 students, you get a very individualized experience being in our program. So what happens is you come in through EOP, through a pre-freshman summer academy. You're assigned an EOP counselor and advisor that works with you from the moment you step onto campus at orientation until you graduate. And for many of our students, it's well beyond graduation that we stay in contact with them. We do consider ourselves a very close-knit community within EOP, but our students definitely branch out into the whole university. So our students, I can tell you, are extreme leaders on campus, which Dorothy will talk about in a little while, but they are involved in research. They're in every major you could possibly think of, in every club or organization, and there's over 400 at Stony Brook University. So really being part of EOP offers you, again, the experience of this very large research university, but you get very individualized attention. The other thing that I wanted to go over is some of the great resources that we offer our students. So coming into EOP, like I mentioned, you get your own advisor, which is such an important part of being an EOP. You get someone who's going to know everything you want to do through your graduation. They get to know you, your goals, what kind of career you may be seeking, what your strengths are, what your challenges may be. And because of that individualized attention, we're able to better advise you to be successful and to be a successful student at Stony Brook. We also offer free tutoring to all of our students and academic support. Again, this is a major tool within college. And I know that in high school, tutoring is always thought of to be that thing you get when you're not doing well. Well, in college, it's a little bit different. You really start with tutoring from day one to be a very successful student in your classes. So we have tutors that are both EOP students and non-EOP students in every single class you could possibly think of to be there to support you. And again, it's free of charge. And tutoring in college can run anywhere upwards of $100 an hour. So this is a really big resource for our students. The other thing that we also give you, in addition to academic advising, to helping you figure out what classes you need to graduate, what requirements you need for the university to graduate, we also provide you with personal counseling. So our counselors are all, our advisors are all counselors as well. So when you need somebody to talk to, when you just don't know what to do in a certain situation or how to approach a professor or how to, write an email even, our advisors and counselors are there to help you. So just know that you'll always have that person that's there for you within EOP. In addition to all of that, we offer specific things just for EOP students, like career development and workshops and conferences. We also have our own clubs and organizations within EOP, such as EOP Student Government, Honor Society. We also make sure we offer leadership positions to our students. So in all those clubs and organizations are executive boards. So you get some of that leadership. We do offer our students also positions to work with our EOP Freshman Summer Academy. And like I mentioned, you come in through the Summer Academy, you take some classes, you have mentors, and our students really work with you as that mentor, as that big brother, big sister, to make sure that your transition into college is a good one. And also, EOP, although we are not a financial aid program, and I just want to mention that again, we are not a financial aid program. We are an academic support program, but being EOP, you do get a very small a grant to help towards your tuition or towards your bill. And you also get a $450 book stipend each semester to help out with your books. So those are just some of the things that EOP is there to help you with. Dorothy, did I forget anything?
That was quite thorough. I was like, I want to go there. You did, no, that was quite thorough.
Great. So if you have any questions about anything I just mentioned, please put it in the questions and answers, and we're definitely going to answer them for you. So moving right along, if I can get it to go to the next, oh, there we go. So coming into EOP, there is an application process, and I think Christina's going to go over that in a little while, but just to give you a little bit of an overview. EOP, you apply through the SUNY app. There is a question that will ask if you would like to be considered for the Educational Opportunity Program. That is us, EOP. You make sure you click on that. And then what happens is our awesome admissions team, which thank God for them, they are the best. They will go through all of our applications to first deem if you are academically eligible to qualify for this program. So on your screen, you can see what academic eligibility we're looking at. And for many of you, you may fall above this, and that's okay. Please still apply. This is kind of the minimum of what we would take, but Christina could go into a little bit more of that in a second. And then after you are deemed academically eligible, you will then be required to be cleared financially. So you need to do a whole set of additional paperwork about finances, and then we have to clear you based on your family's income. And you could see on the slide in front of you what income guidelines look like for EOP. And this is just not for Stony Brook University. This is for all of New York State. I can tell you the academic guidelines vary by EOP program and school, but the financial guidelines are pretty solid across the board for all of EOP throughout New York State. And again, if you have any questions about anything you're seeing right here, please ask in the questions and answers.
Yeah, just to kind of reiterate what you were saying, Pam, in regards to the academic guidelines, we are looking for, around an 82 GPA, not only overall cumulatively or from grades 9 through 11, but we're also looking at your English and math GPAs. We're looking at the coursework you're taking. We do like to see at minimum by the time you graduate high school, Algebra 2 trigonometry or higher in regards to your math, as Stony Brook is quite a rigorous institution. And our math courses pretty typically revolve around calculus. We want to make sure you're going to be able to progress through any sort of major, especially STEM majors, being at a certain math level. Now, when we're talking about SATs, we do have a pretty strict minimum of a 980 SAT score. So this is a good indication if you're wondering if you should submit SAT scores or not. If they're below a 980, I would not submit them. If they're above a 980, absolutely. Now, where the kind of fine line is if you are above this, and students are always saying, I don't have an 82 GPA. Am I still eligible? Absolutely. Like Pam said, we kind of look at a lot of different things when we're looking for EOP potential. And remember, this is an academic support program. It's more about seeing potential in you to succeed on campus. So we have to see that on your transcript, that you not only need the support of EOP, but you have the potential to succeed at Stony Brook. So if you think you're above this in regards to your academics, let us decide that. Apply for EOP if you think you qualify, and we'll get you through the process. If we think that you don't really need the EOP support, we will revert you into general admission and just kind of put you through into the general admission pool. Nothing you have to do. There's no change in the process for you. You apply for EOP. If we determine that, we'll go ahead and do that process for you. Now, in regards, I know we're already getting questions about the financial documentation. So just real quickly, FAFSA is really important. That's the number one thing you should be doing right now. If you have already applied to Stony Brook or you're in the process of applying to Stony Brook, the second thing you should be doing, if you have not already done so, is submitting your FAFSA. Your FAFSA is going to be the first indicator if you're eligible for EOP or not. If the financial aid office determines that they may need additional documentation, they might ask for some sort of financial form that we send you. They might ask for your tax returns from 2020. They might ask for additional information. But they'll be in constant contact with you through email and text message. So just make sure to check your emails, everybody. Okay.
And if I could just add to, one of the things that I really want people to understand is that EOP was really put in place to help recognize that there are some disadvantages in education that we recognize and we see. And that's something that when our admissions team looks at the classes you've taken and the schools you've come from, and we take that whole picture into account to make sure that you can come to a place like Stony Brook and maybe you didn't think you could be at a place like Stony Brook. And our students who came here with that 82 GPA or 83 GPA, they are excelling sometimes way beyond the general admitted students because of the support services we get them. And right now we have over 60% of EOP with a 3.0 or higher GPA. That's amazing. Those statistics are something that we are extremely proud of. So I take a chance, check off the box, and let our admissions team really take a look at and think and see if you are a good fit for Stony Brook. So I just wanted to say that. All right, moving right along. So I did see some questions in the chat about these things. So let's just go over it a little bit. So there are pre-professional or kind of majors at Stony Brook that you don't get right into upon admission. So, and I know having gone through this pretty recently with my own son, sometimes it gets a little confusing about the pre-professional health, law, medicine, teaching, things of that nature. So the pre-professional areas that we have at Stony Brook in healthcare, such as pre-med and nursing and physician assistant, pre-law, dental, veterinary, and teaching in any subject. And at Stony Brook, we have secondary education teaching. Those are all majors you don't get into right as a freshman. So you will have to come in, you will get a lot of advising from us and our partners in the different areas that you see. And you will take a set of what we call prerequisite courses that qualify you to apply to these majors. And then hopefully we will get you in a good enough spot that you can apply for the programs and then get in. Usually it's somewhere between sophomore and junior year for some of the like nursing and things of that nature, teaching, even the pre-teaching programs. Things like pre-med and physician assistant, you actually need to complete what is pre-med requirements. I'll just use pre-med as an example. You have to complete their requirements for that particular major. And then you have to kind of have a major also in addition to completing the pre-med requirements. So that's why EOP is so important with your advisor. They will sit down with you and say, okay, you want to be pre-med? Well, here's classes we have to take for pre-med, but let's figure out a major that complements your strengths so you can do that along with the classes for pre-med. And then we put you in a really good spot for that application process. So again, hopefully if you come in, you'll meet with your advisor, let them know what your goals are, and then we can set you up for success in these areas. Okay. Next. All right, Dorothy.
My turn. Hi, everyone again. So just to add to all the wonderful things that Pam said, Stony Brook is a great place to have a lot of different experiences because it's such a large university. There's a lot of things to take advantage of. And again, having that one-on-one contact with EOP counselors, we try to advise you. I always tell my students, my goal, and I feel my job is to make sure that when you leave Stony Brook, you say, I was able to take advantage of everything I wanted to while I was an undergrad. Because your undergraduate years, they only come by once. And there's not that many times where you're going to have the opportunity to do things like travel for a semester or have an internship under a famous researcher. So we want you to do that while you're at Stony Brook. So our research at Stony Brook is something that is, we are a research institution. There are, we hold patents on our campus for medicines that are actually out in the world being sold. When people get sick and they fill a prescription, the patent is held at Stony Brook because one of our scientists developed it. We developed the science for the first MRI. We developed the science for the original barcode. Like there is history being made in technology and science right at Stony Brook University. and students can actually work with the scientists who are on the brink of this research. And it's everything from the biological sciences to the engineering and applied sciences. We're talking space study, we're talking just anything that you can think of. So one of our programs, Eureka, we have a lot of students that have been a part of Eureka, which is an undergraduate research program. It actually pairs you with a professor and you do research in a professor's lab. And this can be done in anything, psychology, English, biology, marine biology, you name it. There's so many things happening. One of my former students who ended up doing grad school at Stony Brook, I remember he ended up going to study, I think we go up to level 4 contagious diseases on our campus, right? So before, we don't do 5, but we go up to 4. So we don't go as far as like Ebola, but we'll study everything up to level 4 that the CDC studies. And he ended up graduating with his PhD in biology and going on to work for the CDC. So if research is something that you're interested in any discipline, Stony Brook is definitely a great place. Study away. That's one of the things that I try to get my students to take advantage of the most. Pam is smiling because it's literally part of our speech in the Summer Academy. You have the opportunity with your New York State and federal financial aid to study during a semester in another country or domestically in another part of the United States. And when I say United States, I mean continental. So anything in North America on the continent, or any properties that's owned by the United States or colonized by the United States, meaning Guam, the US Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, anything like that. Could you imagine doing a semester in Hawaii if you're studying whales or volcanic ash, or going to Miami to study, oceanography, or going up to Alaska to study, climate change? Like, you could do that through study abroad. And then we have, excuse me, not to study abroad, through National Student Exchange. That's just in the nation. Now, study abroad, could you imagine doing a semester in Greece or Africa, or somewhere else in Europe? Like, there's so many places. We had a student once who was a nursing student who went to her home country of Ecuador in South America and worked in a birthing clinic the semester before she came into the Stony Brook Nursing School. And she was delivering babies in Ecuador in a birthing clinic the summer before she even started taking a nursing class. When she started her nursing program, they were so amazed with what she had experienced that she ended up being one of their stars. She actually now has a PhD in nursing. Internships. We have an amazing career center. And the wonderful thing about our career center, like other colleges, is that you actually pay a lifetime career fee. So if you come to Stony Brook, you can graduate and use our career services center as a resource to improve your employment and move up whatever ladder you're trying to get into professionally for the rest of your life. Our career service center is amazing. We have lots of opportunities for all students, and specifically EOP gets, during our summer academy, we get a one-on-one kind of like introduction to the career center because they come to speak to us and let us know that we're on their radar. They also organize our job fair for us so that our students get to have firsthand at any jobs on the campus that might be interesting to them. In terms of shadowing and observation, again, this is a research university. So there are in every discipline courses that you can actually take for experiential learning, and you can shadow a professor, observe a classroom, even in our daycare center that we have observation. So we have a daycare center on campus where you could physically work or just go and observe what are the latest trends in teaching ages, toddlers through pre-K. So there's really, really a lot of opportunities for students when they come to Stony Brook. Can you advance for me? Then student life. As Christina mentioned, we are a campus of about 18,000 undergrads and another 6,000 or 7,000 graduate students. We are a large city. We have 2 zip codes, and we have on both sides, between the 2 sides of the campus, I believe it's over 1,000 acres. there are things that go on all the time on the campus. And I always tell my students, it's just your job to find out what it is you like and to find your way in. All students have a student activities fee, and there are several clubs, but there is a main club that decides where those funds go. So speaking about experience, students can join our student government and decide where this large amount of money, and we're talking millions of dollars, go every year just to provide activities on campus. So there's everything from concerts to down there with the strawberries. That's something that we have annually called the Strawberry Fest, where we literally cover about 4 acres with fresh strawberries, strawberry pie, strawberry smoothies, strawberries dipped in chocolate, strawberry cakes, just anything that you could think of that could be done with a strawberry is on our campus for all students and staff and faculty to take a part of on that day. It's amazing. And it's not so new. I keep thinking it's new because I've been here forever. But our not so new stadium is, I think it holds 15,000 people in the stadium. It's enormous, and football has become a great source of entertainment for our students. We have a Division I team, and students love to go to the football games and cheer on our team, on their team. And it's a place that if you choose to, you can get involved and have a lot of fun while you're also learning and attaining your undergraduate degree. The clubs and organizations. Oh, this is great. These are just some pictures and a list of some organizations that are on campus, but it's quite, these are some of the more diverse organizations that students might be into. The wonderful thing about EOP that I've loved, that I've seen in the past almost 23 years that I've been here, is that if there was something on this campus that wasn't there for them, they started it. So some of these groups that are here were started by EOP students. Like I saw them happen because SOB was started by a group of EOP students. SAS also came out of that. It was started by a group of EOP students. There's other clubs like Minorities in Psychology that was started by an EOP students. Cadence Step Teams was started by EOP students. There's a praise dance club that was started by EOP students. Like these were things that students came in and said, there's nothing here for me. I want to start this. I helped a student, one of my students started a Greek student organization. There's a club called Heritage, like hair on your head. And that was started by a group of EOP students because they wanted a place where they could sit down and talk about different ways to care for natural hair. We have over 400 clubs and organizations on campus, and our student life is one that if you find something that doesn't meet your needs, you can start it. And a lot of the leaders are EOP students. We have EOP students on the executive board of almost every organization on this campus. Right in those pictures up there, I can see a bunch of my students, a bunch of our students being proudly serving their club or their organization. And it's great leadership experience. We've had several, since Pam and I have been here almost 23 years, I could probably count 10 university presidents at least, because they get on campus and our students have the edge of being on campus early. And also they have, each other. Having 700 students in EOP, knowing you and having your back gets you a lot of votes when you go to run for something. So we've had a lot of students that have chosen to be leaders on the campus and have done it well. So like I said, it's a great place to grow and learn how to be who you want to be, have fun, and also get some leadership experience and things that you're passionate about and just want experience in your undergraduate career. Is this still me, Christina?
I think this is me. So, well, we've talked about EOP, we've talked about very general information about Stony Brook, but if you are interested in living on campus, I will tell you that within SUNY, there are some schools that require you to live on campus. That's not very particular at Stony Brook. However, we are the largest residential population in SUNY. So about 86% of our first year students live on site. Many of our EOP students live on site, not just their summer academy and not just their first year, but for the remainder of their time at Stony Brook. because housing is guaranteed to first year students. So if you want a home at Stony Brook, if you need a home at Stony Brook, you have one. You will never have to worry about committing early or applying at it by a certain point. You just have to make sure to commit by the deadline that you're given, which is typically May 1st for many, many students. So all first year students are housed within certain 3 of the 8 residential life communities here on campus in something called corridor style living your first year. Corridor style living is sort of very traditional in America. You see it in movies and TV shows. It's a long hallway with bedrooms on each side, and everyone's got a roommate. Everyone shares a living space and big old bathrooms. Then by your second year, you're open up to suite style living. And suite style living, there's maybe 4 to 6 students in a living space with 1 or 2 bathrooms, but everyone still has a roommate. Everyone still hangs out in the same hangout space. And then by your junior and senior year, you're open to apartment style living. Now, these are not guaranteed. These are not things you have to attain. Apartment style living does cost a little bit more than corridor suite style living, but apartment style living, you have your own space, you have your own bathroom, you have your own kitchen, and it is exactly like having your own apartment, but here on campus. We do have a program called Commuter Services here on campus for students who do live locally or who do need to find and want to commute to campus, or who need to find off-campus housing for whatever reason. And they're a great resource for our students. Now, I will say between these different styles of living, which are corridor, suite, and apartment, there are different types of facilities. If you have a really specific diet and you prefer to make all your food, if you're a picky eater, or if you just like making your food because you like knowing what's going in it, you can live in a cooking facility. We have gender inclusive housing. We have quiet zones where at a certain time of night, the area or the building that you're living in is quiet so that you can study or sleep if that's the type of environment you're looking for. So lots of different types of facilities to live in. You traditionally will live with a roommate at least for your first 2 years, if not more. And just know that first year students are kind of all grouped into 3 out of the 8 communities. So it will be determined at a later point if you're admitted to the university. Now, when myself and Kelly are reviewing the thousands of EOP applications that we receive each year, we are really looking at a holistic review. Now, what does that mean? Basically, that means that we're looking at your cumulative unweighted GPA, and we've kind of spoken about this already, but we're also looking at your strength of curriculum, not just in regards to what you took, but also in regards in the context of your school, in the context of your particular community, in context of what was going on at the time. Something like COVID really puts a damper on GPAs and the type of courses you take and the progression of those courses. So we really look at a lot of different things just on your transcript, okay? Now, another thing that we're looking at is your academic trends or trajectories. If you were not doing so well in math in 9th grade, and by 11th grade, we see grades that are in the 80s or 90s, that's showing a positive trend. And those are things that we also take into consideration. Now, once we see that you're meeting the academic eligibility requirements, and our financial aid office has really deemed you to be financially eligible for the program as well after that, then we come back together and we review the eligible students. And a lot of the things that really play into whether or not you are offered admission to Stony Brook, because it is not offered to everyone who's qualified. Unfortunately, we do get thousands of applications and have a limited number of seats. So just being eligible academically and financially does not guarantee admission to Stony Brook. So the things that really play into whether or not you are offered admission is those extracurricular activities, your volunteerism, not just in school, but also out of school. Your extracurriculars can be, you've been in karate for 12 years, but it is not a school sanctioned activity. That's awesome and perfectly fine. If you've been the football captain and quarterback for the last 4 years in high school, we like to see that as well. But we also like to see some work experience of our EOP applicants, if that's something that you've been able to do, whether that be a part-time job, whether that be a volunteer effort, whether that be helping mom or dad out in their business, or watching little brothers and sisters or elderly grandparents. These are things that we really want to know about you. We want to know how you spend your time outside of school. So make sure when you're filling out that application that you're really answering all of those questions entirely, that you're telling us all this, because it really does make a difference. Another thing is your motivation and your resilience. Your essay should not be written in a night. We want to know who you are as a person, not just as a student. Sometimes your essays make us cry. Sometimes they make us laugh. Sometimes they're about hair. Sometimes they're about friends. Doesn't matter. We just want to get to know who you are as a person and what makes you you. The application questions are also really important, and who you chose and what they're saying about you as your recommenders. So choose those wisely. In regards to a timeline, what we're really focusing on right now is getting those applications in, like Kelly said really early on, apply, apply, apply. The first thing you have to do is apply to Stony Brook. Now, applying to Stony Brook for EOP is as simple as checking a little box that you're interested in applying as EOP. What will happen at that point is throughout now until probably around January, February, we will continue to review students for academic eligibility. If we're deeming you to be academically eligible for EOP, you'll move on to the financial verification process with our financial aid office. So sometime between December and usually February or March, that's when you'll be working with our financial aid office and getting in those financial documents. But remember, your FAFSA is really, really important, and that has to be done before you can continue on with the financial verification process. So make sure you do your FAFSA, which is your free application for federal student aid through the federal government. That way, by sometime in anywhere between, I'd say it's not really January, I'd say February to April, you will receive your admissions decision on whether or not you were admitted into Stony Brook and through the EOP program, or EOP, I should say. There's a few different pathways into Stony Brook, one of which you're seeing here is showing the middle 50% of last year's class, and that's for general admission. So that upper left corner, if you're looking at your screen, is showing kind of where the bulk of our class was, the middle 50% of last year's general admission class. You can see they fell between a 92 and a 98 GPA. You can see they had between a 1320 and a 1460. Now, to compare to EOP, whose middle 50% had between an 86 and a 92 GPA and a 1070 and 1170. You can see these GPAs are phenomenal. These are still wonderful GPAs. It's more about potential, like we keep saying. So we want to see that you're going to be able to succeed here. And like Pam said, our EOP students are usually performing at a higher rate, graduating at a higher level. So it's, you know, when we're bringing in a class, we're bringing in a lot more than just a number. We're not bringing in just 86 GPAs and above. We really take in a lot of different types of students. Now, some of you have been asking about transferring to Stony Brook. Now, absolutely, we take in transfer students. For general admission, we take them for both fall and spring. Typically for EOP, we only admit for fall semesters. Some exceptions can be made, but it's not traditional that we take in a spring class at this time. So when you're transferring generally to the school and for EOP, academically, we're looking for students to have at least 24 college credits completed, which is about a year of coursework, and to have at least a 2.8 to a 3.2 GPA, depending on your major. Now that ties whether it's general admission or EOP admission. The one caveat for EOP transfers is that you have to be in an EOP, HEOP, SEEK, or college discovery program. So EOP is at any SUNY school that has this type of program. HEOP are at private schools throughout New York State that have that program. And then SEEK and College Discovery are within the CUNY system in New York City. So you have to be in one of those programs in order to qualify to transfer into our EOP program, or EOP, I keep saying that, EOP. Last point before we kind of get into some live Q&A. So start thinking of those questions and putting those in Q&A for us if you want to have your question answered live. It's just the cost of attendance. So there's a lot that goes into being a student at Stony Brook. One of the determining factors is the financial portion of being a student. Now, this is really a big conversation to have between you, between your parents, or if you're a parent, between you and your student counselors. This is a conversation to foster, not only with your students, but also their parents as well, and to have them have that conversation. Because even though we are one of the most affordable schools, not only in New York State, but really the country because of it, this can still be a financial battle for some students. So let's look at tuition. Tuition for New York State residents is $7,070 per year. This is extremely affordable when we're looking at other tuitions, especially by our main competitors, NYU, Columbia, RIT, Northeastern, Rutgers, and all these different types of schools. Columbia's tuition is creeping up towards $70,000 a year. So when you start to compare $7,000 a year and $70,000 a year, you can start to kind of compare and contrast those costs. Now, even if you were to add in fees, if you're commuting to campus, it's around $10,500. If you're going to be living on campus, that's where the added expense comes in. And that brings us to around $26,000 a year. Now, this is before any financial aid. These are the big sticker prices before anything comes off of it. So this is kind of what we're looking at as the big sticker price. But again, around 75 to 76% of our students receive financial aid, many of which our EOP students are receiving financial aid. 70% of our students receive some sort of institutional award or support from Stony Brook University. And as EOP students, you do have some type of support there. Like Pam said, this is an academic support program. There is this nasty little rumor that EOP is a free college, and it really isn't. There's some financial support, but it is more about academic support. So we need to see that you are academically needing the assistance of EOP. And then if you're eligible for that, there's a little bit of financial support. So just remember, FAFSA became available as of October 1st. Your FAFSA will determine your eligibility for a Pell Grant, which is through New York State, as well as any student loans. The second thing is that once you submit your FAFSA, if it sees that you're a New York State student or New York State resident, it will automatically bring you to the HESC website, which is the how to determine your TAP award. Now, TAP stands for Tuition Assistance Program. This is a New York State financial support grant, and many EOP students receive both Pell Grant, which is federal government, and TAP Grant, which is New York State government. So these are grants. This is money you don't have to pay back. This is essentially free money for going to school. So you want to apply for these things. Now, Excelsior and other scholarships come in, and we have a lot of different videos and resources on our financial aid website about applying for all of these, but especially Excelsior and other New York State scholarships. So make sure you look at those. Outside scholarships are also an option for you if you want to apply for a $500 scholarship or a $2,000 scholarship or a $10,000 scholarship. There's a lot of different places to find money out there. So make sure you're applying for those. Now, there is something called out-of-pocket expenses for some of our students, and this has to do with the family and the student contributing to the educational costs here. We do have payment plans with the university to assist in paying for these additional costs. There's also different types of assistance that you can apply for, and loans, obviously, if student loans is something that you're eligible for. But EOB has provided an approximate $2,000 grant and a book stipend to students each year. So it's just a wonderful way to get extra assistance as an EOP AIM student. We did have an event a couple weeks ago called Taking the Fear Out of FAFSA. It's pre-recorded. I hosted it with our financial aid office, and it was an incredible event. Check out, if you Google SBU YouTube, or SBU Admissions YouTube, or SBU Financial Aid YouTube, or go to either of our websites, you will get access to these pre-recorded events, one of which is Taking the Fear Out of FAFSA, that can go into detail about how to apply for financial aid and what it really means. But essentially, everything that we've all been saying to you tonight is about achieving academic success is achieving success in your career and achieving success throughout your graduate, your master's, doctorate type of programs, your PhDs, your fellowships, because our EOP students are doing incredible, incredible things. 95% of our students are employed or continuing their education 6 months post-graduation, which is a huge statistic. So we are really catapulting you into your future and preparing you for success, but really backing you up with financial success as well. All right, that concludes our presentation for today. We did want to leave some time for some questions.
I just wanted to add one thing, Christina. When you were going over the financial piece, I just wanted people to know that taking out loans is typical for EOP students. There are grants that help, but it's very typical for students to end up taking out loans to cover the entire cost of their funding to attend Stony Brook in a year.
Yeah, that's a
Yes,
really
especially
good point.
when, I was going
Yeah,
to say,
go on.
especially when living on campus, because it is a big expense. So loans are very common. So yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point, Dorothy.
I'm going to put something in the chat right now, which is the link to our SBU EOP website specifically for prospective new students. And on that website has some sample financial aid packages that are pretty common for our EOP students. I know a lot of the questions tonight were about if you have to take out loans, if it's full support, how do I get financial support, how do I get EOP scholarship? There are some sample financial aid packages on the website that I just put in the chat. Make sure to click on that little chat bubble down there. Click on that last link that's in the chat. That will take you to our EOP website, which has all the income and academic eligibility guidelines, as well as more information about sample financial aid packages and other types of information you would want to know as a prospective student.
So one of the questions that was asked was, are EOP academic support services available to non-EOP students as well? And can non-EOP students utilize these tools? So if you are in EOP, you get all the support services that we mentioned. Outside of EOP, those students cannot utilize EOP resources. However, outside of EOP, there are similar resources on our campus that is there for the students as well. So you will also have access to academic advisors. There's tutoring. There's a tutoring center on campus. We have a lot of student success initiatives that happen, like workshops in the Career Center. So just because you're not EOP or you don't come in through EOP doesn't mean you don't have similar resources available to you as well. But once you're in EOP, you just have more of that family atmosphere along with those resources as well. So whether you're EOP or not, Stony Brook is a very supportive school. So I'll leave it at that for that question. There was also a question, I guess, Pam, that's me, said that there was a $450 book stipend per semester. And Christina, you said it's per year. It is per semester, $450 a semester. So you get $900 for the year towards books. Other questions?
I apologize. I was posting not to everyone. So if you're looking at the chat and you're wondering where all this information is that I was talking about, I'm posting it now. So the SBU EOP website is coming into the chat now to everyone, as well as links to our financial aid website and the admissions YouTube, where you can find all of those videos about financial aid, taking the FAIR at FAFSA, and many, many other different types of pre-recorded events. Let's see what we have here. Do we need to fill out an application for the Pell Grant, or is this eligibility calculation already done if we filled out the FAFSA? So yes, your FAFSA will determine your eligibility for the Pell Grant, as well as any sort of federal student loan. So if you do your FAFSA, just know that that kind of eligibility is already done. Let's answer that. We answered that. We answered the EOP services. Sorry about that, everybody. The chat was really screwing everybody up.
And Christina, can I answer the one question? It's, what if your GPA for grades 9 through 11th grade isn't so great, but your senior grades are in the 90s? Unfortunately, we do really look at what you've done in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. Of course, we'd love to see students have an upward trend, but unfortunately, just one year is not going to really enhance your application. So unfortunately, we wouldn't take a student like that into consideration.
Someone asked, just to clarify, the $2,000 grant. So usually total EOP grant, and it depends on the year, and it depends on also the individual student and what your formula is through what you put for your FAFSA. So every student gets a different financial aid package. So when we talk about this, this is very general. Some students, will qualify for different things based on their family's income. For EOP, typically, and I'm not going to say it's everyone, but typically your full year grant, this is with your book stipend and with the money that's applied directly to your bill. Our students average about $2,600 to $2,800. So that's for the full year. So split that in half, and then you would get the fall amount and the spring amount. $450 for the book stipend is part of that money. So that pretty much tells you $2,600 to $2,800 full from EOP, which includes the book stipend.
Now there's a question in here about undocumented students. Dorothy, did you want to answer that one?
I was going to say yes. So Stony Brook as a whole does not stop undocumented students from applying to Stony Brook University. With regard to EOP students have to be New York State residents, and they do have to prove financial disadvantagement. So it's not as typical as somebody who would file a FAFSA. It's not impossible, but I can tell you honestly, it's not something I see often, and I've been at Stony Brook for a very long time, but I know it's not an impossible task for someone to apply who's undocumented.
Wonderful. All right, there is a question about if the student already applied but did not click that they were interested in EOP, can they do it now? That's a little bit of a trickier process. You can't just go back into your application and express interest. You can email us though. And you're going to email us at enroll@stonybrook.edu. That is in the chat as well. And that's the admissions general website. That email will come to myself or Kelly, and we can update your application to include interest in EOP. So we'll let you know once we get that email if we can process you as an EOP applicant so that we can begin to review for academic eligibility and then follow through with financial eligibility if you're eligible for EOP academically. So just make sure if you did not initially apply for EOP and now you're interested and think you're eligible, please make sure to email us.
This question always comes up. I didn't see it asked tonight, but I'm going to bring it up. EOP does require a pre-freshman summer program. It is mandatory to attend that summer program in order to gain the full admission for the fall semester. So you need to come in through the summer academy, which is usually the month of July, and you will get a bunch of good foundational courses to help you build the necessary skills to be successful at Stony Brook in various areas. And then you'll also, which is also great, but you get to meet a lot of people, you'll get to know the campus, and you really you kind of don't feel like a freshman when you come in September because you already had all these great experiences during the summer. But that is a mandatory thing, and I just wanted to make sure you all knew that.
We have a good question here about eligibility. So if Stony Brook, myself and Kelly, or our financial aid office determine that a potential EOP applicant doesn't meet the criteria for EOP, whether that be academic or financial, do we refer them to regular admission? So if a student is eligible academically for EOP, and then we find out that they're not financially eligible for the program, we do review them one more time to see if the student can come in as a general admissions applicant. Now, at this point, we've already deemed that you are EOP, and most of the time you're either EOP or you're general or you're neither. So at that point, if we find out that you're not financially eligible for the program, the likelihood of you being able to gain admission generally to the university is quite low, being that you're more fitting the academic criteria of an EOP applicant. Now, if Kelly and I are reviewing you for academic eligibility and we see you're on the kind of the higher range of an EOP applicant, if we're not quite sure if you need EOP academic support services in order to achieve success at Stony Brook, and this can be found by you taking a lot of different AP or college level courses. If you're coming in with all these advantages over other students and you have a wonderful GPA and you've achieved really great success, we might determine that you're more of a general admissions applicant. And at that point, we do revert you over to general admission. Nothing you have to do. We do it for you. So again, if you think you're on the cusp, if you think you're EOP, let us determine. Apply for EOP and let us do the hard work. That's what we're here for. Anything to add there, Cal? No? Okay.
No, you said it.
Somebody did say, what if it's the opposite way?
Yeah, we
So
would
what-
overqualify. We would offer we would offer admission.
What do you mean, Kelly?
No, if what you had just said, based upon.
Yeah,
an
I think
academic
they were
performance.
asking if someone went under general admission, but then general admission
Oh.
deemed they would probably
Oh.
be best for EOP.
Okay.
Is that
Okay.
ever done?
Yeah,
Not
not really.
not unless a student asks. They have to request it. We will not take someone from the general pool and put them into EOP.
Exactly.
That's why it's important to check off that box on the application to be considered for EOP. Otherwise, we may not.
We may not know.
Nope.
All right, I think we're winding down. It's 8:02. We've hit our mark. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight and spending a Tuesday night with us and learning more about EOP. Thank you so much to Pam and Dorothy and my colleague Kelly for joining me tonight and just sharing the wealth of wisdom about EOP with you all. Should you need anything at all, please email us. That's what we're here for. We're here to help. So email us at enroll@stonybrook.edu. There are some other emails in the chat that hopefully you've jotted down, and keep in touch with us. We hope to see your application soon, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Good luck. Take care.
Bye, everyone.